I think I owe this man an apology. Our local Jigz. You know, I sat here and I always will say that Jigz is one of the most mechanically gifted supports around, and you can kind of give this guy, I don't know, support chalk. He'll probably make it work, right? But I sat here and I said, you know what, Sylvanus is going to get murdered. Sylvanus was the first blood. Sylvanus. Well, I mean, you know what? He did it. He made it happen. Pulls counted. Roots happened. It really wound up looking good.
Jigz, despite everything that happened and how many times he got rat-ulted and Kraken, he had the game-changing pull underneath that left-hand Phoenix for Luminosity when he was able to grab BaRRaCCuDDa, take him out of position. BaRRa immediately expends his Bs and Aegis, but when you're already surrounded by the entire enemy team, that's not the place you want to be.
Sylvanus, I maintain, it's a bad pick most of the time, especially into the composition they picked it into. Jigz is just that damn good. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, it really worked out.
I mean, I touched upon it before when Benji got hit by a Kraken and did no damage.
Yeah.
I feel if Baskin went on for a Spear of the Magus instead of the Dynasty Plate Helm, then you would have been right with your analysis. Jigz would have just been cannon fodder consistently.
Mm-hmm. But instead, the Poseidon, the Kraken man comes up just a little bit short. You maintain it's about the build.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just a little bit more penetration earlier on. You got to know the role and stick to it, right?
Yeah, I mean, the whole point of Poseidon is there to blow up the support, or blow up the out of position carry in the early game and look to help your jungle or your ADC carry into that mid and late game. And Poseidon was there just to provide the utility. We saw him build a very early gem of isolation, looking to lock people down. Gets countered extremely easily by that Wingblade, which we saw picked up on 2 characters straight away.
Exactly. Even a sprint is going to fix that up. So as we head into the rubber match, this is what it all comes down to. You talk to a bunch of players. You want to talk about the science of the series. The 4 games don't matter. It is now a single game set like we're going to watch this weekend. What are you looking for in this game, Taka?
This might feel like a best of one, but a little bit of fatigue is definitely taking place in the studios right now. You can kind of feel it even amongst the players themselves. They're all amped up right now. A ton of tension as well, just because everything is on the line for this one. At least that free trip to Worlds is a guarantee for the winner of this final match. But I think that I'm kind of just looking for the same thing out of Luminosity. I really like their draft. Maybe swap it up, though, with the Poseidon. Mm-hmm. I can appreciate the mindset behind trying to throw Baskin onto that Poseidon, but I do feel as though SpaceStation just did an excellent job kiting around it.
And take it from me, just because SpaceStation won Game 4, they don't have the momentum outright going into Game 5.
Yeah, I really like...
I really would have to agree with that factor, that I do think that SpaceStation doesn't have the guarantee momentum going through. It's more so Luminosity and SpaceStation are both kind of on an even playing field, if anything else.
I sincerely believe in the science of the series, and in a 5-game set, what you do in game number 1 kind of sets the tone, right? And it's up to the enemy, whoever loses, to respond in game number 2, right? The ball's in their court, so to speak. And there's something to be said about game number 3 and game number 4. But when it comes to Game 5, you have to win 100-0 in order to maintain that momentum from 4 to 5. When you're just looking at Game 5 with just sort of a regular win, this is on an island by itself. And you were talking about fatigue. This is also where the adrenaline kicks in. And normally I look towards the veterans in the scenario. I go, you know what? It's the veteran team that's going to win Game 5 because they're coming through. You've got JeffHindla and BaRRaCCuDDa on the left side, and you've got Zapman and Jigz. Everybody here is a vet. Everybody here has been here for 4+ years. I mean, you can't just boil it down to, well, this team's got the heart. This is really anybody's game.
Aquarius is really the only member that could possibly be looked at as somebody without as much a veteran experience, at least not for the competitive side. He's been around the scene for quite some time. Mm-hmm. And realistically speaking, I would have to agree, this is really going to be the standout point for those leaders to really come out swinging. But I do like what SpaceStation did this time, where they just banned out the Morgan flat, right? They know that Luminosity has the first pick. It wouldn't be any surprise to me if they actually tried to draft that Morgan.
Yeah, but key factors so far in the draft is Circuit, Ratatoskr, AMC, and Sol, all of which still on the table, all of which have been staple picks and bans throughout this set, and one of them's gone away, Circuit.
Rat first pick. It's going to be the Muzen Cobb. It's going to be the Muzen Cobb. SpaceStation Gaming have the option in their house. Mask right here. I love that the camera's on Mask because he's the one that we're looking at.
No, I like this because we saw in the last game that SpaceStation did not value the Ratatasker when they had that option for first pick.
Very true.
They're learning from the previous game and going, okay, SpaceStation probably won't pick the Ratatasker, so we can afford to pick up the AMC now and then pick the Rat as a second and third pick.
And so it will be the Raijin and the Sylvanus, and I think you're onto something there, Alpha Jackal. I think this is where we see the Ratatasker selected by LG. The Soul will be taken by LG, so Andy's got to play something new. And in that regard, I'm also thinking LG, maybe they go with Thor.
This is the first game that SpaceStation hasn't had Raijin banned against them, and I think that's the primary reason why we're seeing this be the first pick. Luminosity, every single time before just now, has opted to ban Raijin in all of the drafting phases. So that is something to be said when they don't want to risk Andinster getting onto that Raijin.
Well, coming into the Super Regionals, I maintain that Andinster had two gods, one of which was Ra, and the other one was Raijin. And he's got Raijin right here.
Yeah. Kind of scary if you're LG across the way because, you know, we were talking about the Soul and how an awkward carry absolutely can carry as we watched last game, but definitely not always going to be the case. Whereas Raijin, on the other hand, Raijin is going to blow you up.
Raijin can absolutely rip through any sort of takey frontliner if he's permitted to do so with a lead, and that is something I can see Homiefe really trying to focus on, is getting Andinster ahead. If I can feed Andy, I can feed the entire team, and then we're all eating good tonight. But right now, Luminosity, I think they might actually struggle a little bit here because they already banned out the BaRRaCCuDDa, but there really is just so much left on the table still for Homiefe to potentially pull out, and Ratatasker still being in selection. There's a lot of possibility, maybe even a Thanatos.
LG not even thinking about it, though, banning out the BaRRaCCuDDa and the Naja instead, willing to sort of let the Ratatasker go through it. Looks like SpaceStation Gaming have the ball in their court right now. They previously banned out RTO and Osiris. Skadi will be the hunter of choice for SpaceStation Gaming with everything on the line. LG have their last two selections looking for the Xing, which is likely to be in the hands of JeffHindla. And their last choice will be the Thanatos.
I had a sneaking suspicion that was going to be a Raven solo and they were going to save the Ratatasker for final pick, but the curveball of the Thanatos, I like it. You can get Hercules down to about 30-40% HP and then execute him before he gets that big burst heal off.
Yeah, I love Thanatos into Hercules. It seems annoying with the heal, but Hercules is the man that never dies, and Thanatos is the guy that kills you.
I'm upset because I called it for Thanatos being SpaceStation.
Yeah, you did.
Because I just had that like lurking feeling, knowing Homiefe, that Thanatos is going to be the next god of choice. I think this is also part of the reason why we're seeing Luminosity pick it up.
Exactly. Both of these junglers have a Thanatos. Thanatos is an early game pressure monster and a guy that can absolutely... He's been a sleeper pick in the SPL. We've seen him come out a couple of times and wreck havoc. All the marbles. Everything on this one. Game 5, who takes the series and goes to HRX?
I want to say LG, but I think SpaceStation Gaming's draft is just that much better.
AFK.
Okay. Taco's going to pull her safe card. I'm going to remember that for tomorrow. Me? I think it's all SpaceStation. Let's go to the action. It's the casters.
Game 5, SpaceStation versus LG. Winner goes to HRX, and the other one got to go down the pools. The only real loser, though, is everyone else in group that's got to deal with one of these teams.
Honestly, this has been such an impressive best-of-5 set, and I'm so glad it's going the distance here. Both of these two drafts is just really covering a lot of their options here, and I'm really surprised that we saw Thanatos. I'm not surprised that we didn't see some jungle bans, considering how wide the pool was. You know, you were talking about Erlang Shen there in the back. I was also talking about, you know, Thor potentially was an option. Camazotz worked out really well for Homiefe as well. And with Jigz playing the Sylvanus, the way Zapman was playing with Eager last year for Super Regionals, it was all Sylvanus and Zeus combined. This time around, keeping Sylvanus traditional to his roots literally allows Zapman to kind of get that free roaming power. Hello?
Aquarius in the solo with Thanatos? What? All right, well, there you go. It's Aquarius taking the solo Thanatos. Totally, you're the solo guru. What's Thanatos doing solo Aquarius is feeling?
Just to any time there's going to be action in the mid lane, here comes that global pressure, using the passive from the Thanatos, giving him that extra movement speed whenever somebody's in that execute threshold. If you're Baskin, if you're Andinster, if you're Homiefe, you gotta be really mindful about the positioning of Aquarius. And every time Aquarius goes into the jungle, ScaryD's gonna be calling that out, and SpaceStation have to be worried.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, Totally. In Game 5, the ticket to HRX, Luminosity have picked what feels like a high execution comp. Their threshold, their margin for error is really small. They cannot afford to make even small mistakes, it feels like, with the Thanatos, with the Xing, with the Ravana jungle. I mean, SpaceStation can kind of just play a little more chill as JeffHindla goes in.
Jeff missing the knock-up root combination. I wasn't sure if he was going to try to connect it onto Andy or Jigz there,
He
but
wasn't sure either.
forcing out the sprint either way, though, so trading relic for relic. But 3-man splitting the mid wave is not generally the best idea here to start off the early game, but allows you to at least invade the red buff.
And we didn't even get a chance to talk about it, but Zapman's picked up the Skadi for him. That's someone who can hard carry for you when you make it into the late game, and that clear in the early game is really good too.
And because he's left alone against JeffHindla, he's able to clear the wave and to strip away the red buff Little Ogres, and then realizing that there was no rotation from LG, now he's going to hard commit to this red buff, getting a red buff of his own and taking the safe route there, checking that there's no more left side. But look at this, Aquarius just getting a solo kill. Now he gets another one!
Double kill for Aquarius on the solo lane Thanatos. Forgive me, Aquarius, for questioning, coming out big.
And the whole idea here is to get the most aggressive, the most 1-2 punch combination between your solo and jungle here. We've seen before the way ALG used to play between Cyclo Spin and Weekend. Pick the strongest, hard-hitting gods. Thanatos is one of those gods, and it doesn't matter if you stick him in the solo lane or the jungle. If there's going to be action in that solo lane early on, favoring LG every single time.
But that's a Nemesis, that's a Hercules. Those aren't exactly easy gods to kill, Tully. He went in on him and brought him down. Now Aquarius is snowballing on a snowball god. Yes, Thanatos can still execute late game and it's a high threshold, but getting started early, no Thanatos is going to complain.
That's true, but you get free poke off with your Death Scythe every single time, and the silence prevents ScaryD from using that driving strike after the pull. It just kind of hinders his attempts of clearing the wave, and that's going to give the edge to Aquarius now, because he's going to hit level 5 first, and he's going to make an impact.
More pressure here on Homiefe in the mid lane. Mask and Baskin having a good time of it, the Mask and Bask brothers, but looping in on the back, BaRRaCCuDDa's coming in. He's got some help from Hindla.
That's right. They're going to try to make this rotation happen. BaRRaCCuDDa is just still slowly waiting, but instead he's going to back on out there.
Up in the air.
Aquarius, if he gets the stun off, I was thinking he'd get the stun off into the Death Scythe, and might have been enough damage to kill, or at least maybe after one more in here, but it's so risky.
Yeah, I think Aquarius recognized that he didn't quite have as much chance as he thought, but Mask actually blinking in. Supernova is hard committed there from Baskin, and then Mask cleans it up. 3 quick kills, and Mask is popping off. Luminosity up 3-0.
Feeling himself so much, just getting the rest of his team really hyped up, and what a performance here. Aquarius. This is the mind games between two soul laners. You kind of have to dance around your own moves, and now that means if ScaryD's using that pull, trying to catch Aquarius, he's now using the pull against the archers to align the minions in a position to driving strike the whole wave.
They do come in and pick up those fire elementals, do Luminosity. So now they're sitting on about 1,300 gold already. 3 minutes in, that's not anything to scoff at here, Toli. Those are the beginnings of a scary lead.
And what's really impressive to me about this whole entire set is the momentum shifts here.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to me that either of these teams really care that they lost the previous game. LG won the first, SpaceStation won the second, LG, SpaceStation. That's game 5. You think it's LG's turn?
Yeah, if we ask the winner of the set at the end of this how it went, they're going to say 3-0 because they forgot those losses totally. At least that's what it feels like. They are ready to come in swinging in this game. Now, I know that Luminosity have gotten off to an early lead, but Hercules has been big all set. Jigz looked so good on that Sylvanus last game.
That's true.
There's no way that SpaceStation are out of this.
That's very true. ScaryD, unfortunately, now playing this Hercules, is going to be a little careful for Luminosity with their position.
Good pull
Great
from
pull.
Jigz into the Wrath of Terra. Andinster now up into the Tycho drums. JeffHindla, we hardly knew ye. You're gone. Andinster gets that kill, and they're looking for more.
Mask is not done with the chase quite yet, though. He's left in a situation trying to catch out Zapman, juking every single Supernova hit. but he's trapped. He has nowhere to go. BaRRaCCuDDa is trying to get the damage off, but he can't connect. Everyone from SpaceStation walk away cleanly.
Zapman living there is a pretty big deal. Impressively dodging out, like you said, all those ticks from the supernova. That way, I mean, if he had taken even one, I think he would have died there. Mass blinking in on the Andinster and follows him over the wall. Andinster, where are you gonna go? Back to base is the answer.
And now getting rewarded with the right side mid harpy is a little bit of damage onto Aquarius there. He needs to connect this depth side for the sustain, and that's the beauty of Thanatos in the solo lane. You just use your depth side onto either the god or the minion wave. You have so much wiggle room for the sustain, and that is going to heal you up more than the mitigate wounds will from ScariD, because you're maxing it out later on down the laning phase anyway, whereas Aquarius is trying to max out his depth side for the damage and the sustain.
And I gotta think a good part of the thought press from Aquarius here in the desk talked about it is ScariD on Hercules, impossible to kill. Jigz from last game, impossible to kill. Well, then let's just get the guy that kills people. And that way they can sort of eliminate some of that tankiness by bringing them down to the threshold. Aquarius forced, though, into the ultimate, and he does get on out of there.
Oh, what a timely ultimate from Aquarius. As soon as he sensed his spidey senses tingling there, just goes up to the sky, and he just nopes on out of there. Now, Mask, more importantly, is here to cover the wave, so that way there's no lost gold or experience. LG all over the board, making sure that they're optimal at any given moment.
And I think there might have been a brief moment there where SpaceStation weren't quite sure about this matchup, but they look like they're back together now. They're ready to fight. We saw Zapman show up over on that left-hand side by staying alive. So, yes, they've given up a little bit here, but I don't know if there's any more surprise factor. They're just going to have to outplay him now.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. The clean pick onto JeffHindla, but he was level 4 at the time. He didn't have his ultimate for that CC immunity to prevent the taunt from the taiko drum, to prevent the pull maybe even from the Sylvanus played by Jigz there. But now sitting at level 6 here, going for Traveler Shoes, he's going to be very likely to be in position now to be aggressive.
Blink in from Mask on Andinster, forcing them both to back off, but not too much else comes from it. Looks like they both managed to hold on to their relics.
The blue buff is spawning here for SpaceStation. That's why LG are playing so aggressive inside their jungle, wanting to strip that away. And against a Hercules that needs to use that blue buff MP5 to get off more pulls and pushes to stay relevant in that laning phase.
And now they're looking to invade this speed buff as well, but everyone's here. Jigz, Homiefe is here, and actually the ultimate comes out onto Aquarius, who heals back up at that depth site. The Whirlwind of Rage and Steel brings Jigz back into damage. Executed by Aquarius.
ScariD trying to run away,
Supernova.
knocked up by the Supernova. Still going to get chased down a little bit longer, but that's a tier 2 tower, and that's still a level 8 Hercules, so a clean pick onto the Sylvanus from Jigz. It doesn't matter if you go reinforced shoes there, you're still going to get executed. That's why he's going for those Traveler Shoes instead.
In the end, they are able to, I believe, steal the speed buff away, too, as we see one around Mass. So that invade went about as well as it could have for Luminosity. In response, SpaceStation do take these oracles. It's nothing near what they just lost, but doing something to slow the bleeding.
Getting vision there for at least 1 more minute is going to prevent LG from getting a sneaky Gold Fury, at least until the 9-minute mark, once that Oracle vision goes away. Now BaRRaCCuDDa with a 1 level lead over Zap here. He actually ignored finishing off Boots, trying to max out those stacks on the Devourer Gauntlets, whereas Zap is going for a different option. He wants to get the mobility, so when he drops the Permafrost on himself, he's able to basically dodge and weave around Baskin Supernova.
And that's smart. It's something BaRRaCCuDDa can do on this Muzen Cobb with that movement speed granted by those hives. He'll still be able to move around plenty well, even without those boots. Maybe not match the extra speed he gets when Zapman goes across the permafrost, but still speedy.
And with this kind of build selection, sometimes when your hunter is building passively like that, going for more of a farming-centric game, that means the team's action is probably planned around the opposite side of the map, and that's what LG did. They stole away the blue, the speed, they got a kill onto Jigz. They kind of revealed their hand in the early game, and it's allowed BaRRaCCuDDa to get the stacking edge here now as he's finished his boots.
Aquarius, though, getting a little bit punished by ScariD. Actually, Horrific Emblem coming out, able to use that Death Sight to heal right back up to the ultimate from ScariD. So now the Relic was used, but the ult come out from ScariD.
I like what Aquarius did there. As soon as the boulder came out, you're basically immobile as a Hercules, right? So that's a free target for the depth side every single time. Now ScariD still sitting at about 70% health, needs to be careful about any sort of rotation. Has a nice little ward there right above the Fire Giant pit, so he's going to see this rotation from Baskin.
That way he won't be caught off guard. So good ward placement. Baskin instead He's going to settle for those fire elementals. So that is still a bit of a win for him as JeffHindla keeps that mid wave in mid and takes that all for himself. Actually, Baskin makes it over here in time for that too. So no love lost for Baskin.
Good, efficient farming here as JeffHindla is able to support Baskin. Their Gold Fury is being started here. Baskin uses that Stellar Burst. No need for Supernova. No one from SpaceStation around.
Gold Fury being started, Gold Fury being ended. Those charts show the experience difference at 4,600, but the gold already at 3,000, only 10 minutes into it. And this early game comp from Luminosity has gotten off to a good start, but a good pull from Jigz.
Pull is good.
Brings Baskin in, but he's fine.
Homiefe taking so much damage. Diving. Mask just going in, taking out Homie's life.
Jigz uses the Wrath of Terror there smartly to avoid getting pulled by JeffHindla, so they trade ult for ult, but now the speed buff invade is going to happen again, and Andy's got to leave.
You don't want to be there, Andy. There's a level 12 Thanatos right around the corner. Skadi trying to find the pull. Won't find a driving strike now on cooldown as well. Raijin won't connect, but catching Skadi, forced to use the Aegis.
Forced to use the Aegis. Aquarius, I think someone called my boy back because he went into that ultimate looking for more, but instead came back towards the team. So I like that they're listening to the comms.
And that was a smart idea because Skadi can still play around that Thanatos ult.
Yeah.
He can immune the stun by using the boulder here, and Aquarius would have took a lot of damage under that tier 1 tower. He probably would have died if he dove that.
Instead, they back off with their win, and now they're going back towards Skadi. Aquarius does land the scythe, and they've got the slow coming out from Mask as well. Looks like maybe he didn't have the driving strike, so he takes a good bit of damage. Does make it back to his tower, though.
Catching Skadi outside the tier 1 tower, a little bit more precise is Luminosity. They don't want to take the risky aggression on the tier 1 tower, but instead getting the guaranteed play. Even chipping him out that low forces him to back, which means Aquarius clears this wave and now can make a very important rotation in the mid wave, or maybe even start a Portal Demon if LG are really feeling frisky.
It also forces Homiefe to rotate over to solo, so now Homiefe can't be trying to apply pressure elsewhere on the map, and we haven't seen him have too big of an impact yet either.
And not only that, it's also just how much slow and steady chip damage the tier 1 solo tower has gotten.
Yeah.
So now that means Skadi won't have that cover fire under his belt whenever he gets dove in the solo lane. Considering how LG have been so aggressive thus far, I wouldn't be surprised if they continue looking at this Hercules, knowing the true impact that he can have in the mid to late game.
Yeah, right now the lead for Luminosity is pretty extensive. Everyone either just barely even or behind SpaceStation Gaming. No one's got any leads so far. Closest one is Jigz and JeffHindla, who look to be pretty close, as Jigz only fallen once. He's done a good job with the Wrath of Terror to immune a lot of the crowd control.
Hitting some good pulls as well, but sometimes he didn't have the follow-up there whenever he really wanted to. Homiefe is getting bullied by Mask, and can we talk about this 4-level difference?
Oh yeah, that's nuts. Mask is looking really good right now. He's in a really good spot. In fact, I'm thinking all of Luminosity are feeling good right now. So let's get that Sennheiser listening with Luminosity.
You're about to go safe way. I have to go safe way. That's fine. They're gonna rotate. Yeah, just fight. There's a 5v. I have blink if you. Yeah, already. Are we gonna blink? Okay. What are we doing? Are we resetting? I'm on. Reset. Skadi in the back. I'm holding their back line. Jigz one HP. Yeah, I pulled him into you. I pulled Herc into you guys. Herc. Herc's almost dead. Nice. You got that final. I'm running. Be careful. Just chill. Yeah. I'm not with you guys. Nice. Careful. I'm back on. Let me leash. Alright. I was calling, come in, we can't really I'm on. We can do it. I think you guys are fine. Yeah, we're chilling, we got it. Good chits. Let's go through portal speed. Yeah. Their red just spawned as well, so Nemesis speeds down.
Good communication there from Luminosity. For a second, looked like they went too far, but they come back in and get the portal.
They could have got so much more if Aquarius lives for just 2 more seconds. He gets up in the sky, and he would find the execute onto Jigz, which would heavily return the tide in LG's favor because you get the heal on top of that. He gets off more rotations, but still walking away cleanly after that 1-for-1, getting the Portal Demon, slowly but surely building off of a very comfortable 4,000 goal lead as Gold Fury is about to respawn in less than a minute.
And in that fight, we heard for the first time, at least from the listen-ins I've heard, just a little bit of confusion in the comms of LG. I heard a couple of people going, well, what are we doing? What's the call? Like, let's go in, you're almost dead, or over here. They were just a little bit spread out. But Aquarius does at least get that tier 1.
And then as soon as they were asking, like, okay, what are we doing here? Mask just blinks into the back line, and he's like, I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm blinking in.
And yeah, and he's level 13 here at this point. It looks like, though, Homiefe's been able to do a good job farming. He's cut some of that experience lead he was struggling with, at least down to 3 levels, it looks like right now, or 2.5, as Aquarius and ScadyD continue to trade it out.
Nice ulti from Aquarius. If he gets pulled there, he definitely would eat a driving strike under that tier 2 tower, and that's not where you want to be, but still a relatively good spot because he has a lot of cooldown reduction here.
Yeah.
Gladiator Shield, also having Breastplate of Valor. You're just spamming away, and that silence is a good form of crowd control in these team fights.
And it's got some good synergy with his kit. Gonna add on a little bit more sustain to the healing he's already getting from those death sides when he lands those autos thanks to the Gladiator Shield. So the build working really well for Aquarius. This Thanatos solo is not something he's just doing.
BaRRaCCuDDa didn't have vision. He's going to get turned on here. Double knockup from Jigz, but actually it's BaRRaCCuDDa doing the damage instead.
Yeah, everybody on SpaceStation turned and ran around. BaRRaCCuDDa's in the backline, okay, but Mask going in on Jigz. Cleans him up. Baskin takes down Homiefe. Clean team fight for Luminosity, 2 for 0. And now they're going for gold.
Andy in the back gets off the Raijin, forcing out the Aegis from Baskin. Now he's forced to jump away here. Zapman's going to get pancake flipped, forced to use the beads here. Everyone from LG feeling really confident as they start this Gold Fury.
And SpaceStation don't want to give this up. Zapman's coming in to look for the contest with the permafrost, so BaRRaCCuDDa drops it and waits for that to fade away. Andinster has to back, and looks like now they can take it uncontested. Luminosity looked real clean.
Great discipline and reset. Even with the permafrost there, that alone is a potential steal. Now, granted, it's a 1%, but still, you don't want to risk it, right? Like, if SpaceStation steal their way with a permafrost, that's a huge toll on you mentally throughout the rest of the game.
No, not with a ticket to HRX on the line, not with energy down there in the group stages. Yep. I'm not giving them 1% of anything. I'm going to HRX for free. That's what Luminosity are saying.
Where are you going, Zap? He's caught in a really awkward position there. He's forced to use the ultimate just to escape and get away from that bee honey there, making sure you would stay alive a little bit longer there. As at the right side, Aquarius was chasing down ScadyD for a little bit longer there. And yeah, like you were saying, this is the elimination game for both teams. Winner of this goes to HRX. Loser faces off Noble, Energy, and Trifecta in group play.
I don't even want to know. No, I don't even want to, is what I'm going to say to that. So they're going to stay up here. They're going to do their best to try and go straight to HRX. And you talked earlier, Mask is just going in. Well, my dude is 4-0-5, Dole. He's level 15. I don't blame him right now for going in. He's looking really good on this Ravana.
100% kill participation between that 4-0-5. 9 kills collectively from Luminosity, and he's been involved in every single one of them, being a part of that early double kill from Aquarius, which is why he's comfortable 1-level lead over this Hercules on ScadyD, able to still make a pretty big impact playing Thanatos solo, which I don't think we've seen since, I think, Variety played it at Worlds with Obey.
3 members are lurking over here, though. Aquarius is going to have to be careful unless he gets ganked out here. Homiefe comes over, kind of shows the hand, and Aquarius is safe, so he ends up backing off. But Toli, is Luminosity showing a pocket strat here, you think? What is this something that maybe they didn't want to show this early?
No. This is do or die, honestly, for that. Because if you don't win here, then your chances of winning in group play is it's probably less of a chance to go from HRX from group play than it is in the semifinals. Because you only have to win 3 games here. Group play, you have to win at least 4 out of 5, unless you're going to go with tiebreakers.
No, no one wants to have to do that. So, as you said, Luminosity putting it all on the table here, Toli. They clearly are comfortable with Aquarius on the Thanatos, Mask on this Ravana in the jungle, and it's looking good for them so far. They have not won just yet, though. They are very well in control. They got about 6,000 to 7,000 gold lead. The experience lead was pretty high, and we saw it too. We're only about 18.5 minutes in, and Luminosity now waiting on that Gold Fury to come back up or waiting to start Portal Demon and push this one a little further.
Yeah, Gold Fury respawning in about 2 minutes and 15 seconds. SpaceStation are trying to find their footing. Homiefe is struggling here. He's gone for a Heartseeker, and considering he's behind, I don't necessarily agree with this. Normally, when you're behind, you want to try to find ways to get back into the game, not play a little bit more aggressively. He still even didn't have the time to back to base to get even a second relic. So if LG start an objective such as this Portal Demon, there's going to be no possible way SpaceStation can test.
And the only one he has is pretty defensive. It's just a beads. It's just something to get himself out of trouble. I don't blame him. There's lots of trouble to be in, but it means his team fight impact won't be huge, and neither will SpaceStation's impact on that Portal Demon as it goes down for free. Zapman, though, looking for the man fight up against BaRRaCCuDDa. He's pushing in between the tier 1, tier 2. Homiefe, though, immediately gets
Bear's
shredded.
holding. Bear's holding 1v2, even potentially a 1v3 with Andy right around the corner now. Jigz making this rotation top hand side, going to try to heal his teammates. Yeah, he's going to chase them down, trying to spread this AoE honey damage, applying the bees because he knows he has the rest of his team by his side. Mask, he would not hesitate using that ultimate over the purple buff if commanded to.
And that way they are able to relieve the pressure. Now the tier 1 tower still stands strong. No one falls from in left lane. In fact, BaRRaCCuDDa now applying pressure onto the tier 1 in left hand of the opposition team, and they're looking to keep going.
That's right. Just basically getting every objective is LG. Getting even a tier 1 tower. Golfia respawning in 50 seconds. Plenty of time, really, if they wanted to get this tier 2 tower with both Homie and ScaryD on the right-hand side. It's LG with a man advantage on the left.
JeffHindla doesn't get anyone with the whirlwind of Rage and Steel, but it doesn't even matter. BaRRaCCuDDa cleans up Jigz thanks to some help from Baskin. That's one quick, easy pick.
This is a level 19, a Muzen Cobb, 20 minutes into the game, almost matching 1 level per minute played thus far. LG with a 1-man advantage, heading over towards the mid lane between the Soul and the Muzen Cobb. That's plenty of damage to get that tower in less than 5 seconds.
And Luminosity are coming out, and they're playing like, hey, we're number 1 over here in NA. They gotta contest the United for that one, but they're coming out looking strong in this game. I know it's been close, but this feels a little bit like a statement from LG.
Absolutely. LG have been the staple North American team that most other players and teams look up to, honestly, even between Season 3 as well.
Aquarius in trouble, though, and gets deleted.
He's going to get deleted, but honestly, there's no Portal Demon on the right-hand side, so there's no real threat. BaRRaCCuDDa forced to get off the Fire Giant with the potential threat of the Fire Giant on the right-hand side.
Aquarius had to be rather valuable, though. Able to get that kill is pretty important to slow down some of the aggression from Luminosity. SpaceStation in return get that tier 1 in solo now to try and open this map up just a little bit more and get whatever farm back they can. But, I mean, BaRRaCCuDDa's over here all alone, so he's taking the Gold Fury.
It's going to be a 3-on-5 on the right side. There needs to be very mindful. Jigz is going to be looking for a blink engage here with that Wrath of Terror. Finds 2, forces the overhead kick from Mass, though. There's no actual threat, though. They're going to hold with 3.
And Bear's just going to keep pushing over in left, too. So not only did they not get the tier 2, but BaRRaCCuDDa is definitely threatening the tier 2.
Level 20.
Yeah, I think he can get it.
With a red buff on top of this. Blink from Homiefe is going to force the overhead kick. Baskin needs to be a little careful as well. Still, no real threat from SpaceStation. Just keep going.
He is going to end up backing there as SpaceStation are no longer aggressing over here on the right-hand side. So that's why we see him backing, because SpaceStation were backing to stop him. But that's a huge play for Luminosity. Yes, they end up dropping Aquarius, but they get Gold Fury, they get tier 2 and left, and they defend their own tier 2.
You know what, Finch? I'm expecting an early Fire Giant right here, right now. Maybe after BaRRaCCuDDa gets this red buff, though. He is a serious threat that SpaceStation needs to watch out for. Player damage charts shows Mask here. But yeah, this is the time for BaRRaCCuDDa to slowly climb these charts and just take over.
He's done. He's ready. He's like, let's fight. He's got to upgrade some relics, I guess, but he's level 20. He's full build. He's ready to go. He's got that wing blade in there, too, to give him a little bit of extra response, probably to Homiefe on that Nemesis.
Does LG know that does SpaceStation know that Luminosity is on the right side of the map? They're trading a tier 1 tower for a Fire Giant.
No, not worth it all there, Anatoly. Maybe they recognize that they just couldn't contest it, even if they did win over. But either way, it's free for Luminosity, and this tier 2 on right's looking pretty free, too.
This is a desperation move here from SpaceStation. I don't necessarily blame them. There are necessary backs that need to happen from LG if they want to hold on to the left Phoenix. Doesn't seem that they're going to do it. But is it a little bit too late, though? There's a mini wave to eliminate backdoor protections. Mask blinks in. He dives in. He wants to stop this damage. It's too late, though.
This play ends up working out. SpaceStation actually get the first Phoenix of the game, but BaRRaCCuDDa continuing with the split push takes the Phoenix in mid.
They can collapse on them if they really want to. Jigz uses his ultimate with Andinster. Aquarius, though, in the sky, trying to see who he's going to land on there with the double dash on the Nemesis, landing into the backline. Boulder coming out, but where's the damage? It's just non-existent.
That's because they don't have BaRRaCCuDDa in this fight just yet. Andinster's a little bit too far forward. Now he's in trouble. Aquarius gets credit for that one. See you later, ScaryD, as well. As soon as BaRRaCCuDDa showed up, that's where your damage was.
And JeffHindla is going to look to try to potentially chase some members from SpaceStation. It's a little bit too far out of the way. Left Phoenix was traded for the middle, but with Fire Giant around all 5 LG members, they could easily try to go for the left Phoenix of their own, but instead, they're going to shove out the mid lane here. Do you expect an end?
I'm not sure if they're going to try and go for the end, but they definitely recognize they can take the fight. But that's what it looks like. They're pushing
going
the minions.
for it.
They're going for mid.
There's 20 seconds on Skadi, 15 for Andinster. This could be it.
It looks like that's what's going to be the call here. Let's go into the Luminosity. Listen in, thanks to Sennheiser.
And now it's going to be over, actually. They're going to go into this Titan room. Mask gets taken out by Zapman. Homie, that's it. It's going to be Luminosity advancing to HRX, BaRRaCCuDDa, and co. Congratulations.
Well, they were 100% right there, Anatoly. They were able to go in and finish off in that Titan room, no problem. They basically just walk it down and take it with 4 members, or with 1 member already, 2 members already dead, only 3 that are trying to defend. Luminosity take game 5. They take the set, and they're got their way to HRX.
Wow, just what a performance here. And we were talking about it earlier on in the game how it didn't matter which team lost because it just seemed that they would win the next one anyway. They swept the loss under the rug. They moved on to game 5. They turned a best of 5 essentially into a best of 3, and then they turned that best of 3 into a best of 1 at the end of the day. And finally, we have a victor. The last remaining North American team here, Luminosity, will join E United at HRX.
And yes, those were the 2 top teams, and we kind of expected them to be there totally, but it did not look easy. SpaceStation put up a heck of a fight for them in that 5-game set, and I would not want to be in the group stages with any one of them.
No, not at all. This is gonna, like, no matter who you are inside that group play, you got to worry about energy, obviously. Trifecta, despite not having the greatest performance today, still in the 5 best of 1s, anything goes here. You can do some wild, janky strategies, and with Kiki and Aurora on that team, you never really know what Trifecta are going to pan out, and the 200s there giving hugs out there, Baron, Zap, the rest of the hugs are coming.
That's right. We're going to be seeing LG Ed Worlds this time. No surprise there, but there was plenty to break down in that game 5. Tom, tell us what happened.
You know me, Finch. Well, I always say when you're in an elimination game, you pick Thanatos solo. What the hell is that?
That was Aquarius and Mask completely running the show. Mask walks up to Aquarius's lane, and he's like, hey, man, do you want a double kill on Thanatos? And Aquarius is like, that sounds pretty nice. And then SpaceStation said, here you go.
Yeah.
That was pretty much it, the hand delivery.
Mask had 100% kill participation for the large part of the early game and even into the mid game. And, you know, what I absolutely loved about this, and I think this will take on the coach part side of you, is BaRRaCCuDDa and JeffHindla have done the heavy lifting on this team forever. Baskin does the heavy lifting during the majority of this set. And you know who wins the set? The other 2 guys on the squad. Every member of this team contributed today.
And that's just a complete disparity in what we saw from Luminosity last season, which you touched upon. It was all BaRRaCCuDDa. Now, who knows who's going to carry? And I said it in the picks and bans that I thought there was a feeling that would be Ravana solo with Thanatos jungle, and I got bamboozled, as I think SpaceStation did.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, we were talking about, well, you know, they took the Thanatos away from Homiefe. We get that. How is Mask going to play it? And you know what? It never happened in a pro league game, but I know that Aquarius has had this Thanatos solo up that sleeve for a minute now, only ready to take it out when everybody needed it. And Aquarius pulled it off, like you said, the double kill in minute 1 right away, and that sort of set the tone.
I mean, that double kill was allowed to happen because he managed to pick up a horrific emblem at the very beginning, and it was not counted by a sprint because the only sprint in the game was on Jigz, and he was over somewhere else, just trying to farm up his little tree that he is.
That's about what you'd expect, though, from a Sylvanus. Sylvanus isn't going to be hanging around in the solo lane. There's absolutely zero reason for him to be there most of the time, at least. But Aquarius and Mask, the most important part is that once they establish their lead, they never let it go. And that's one of the big things that we saw in the past 2 matches between these 2 teams. There were turning points multiple times, whether they occur multiple times or just like one really big one. The drafts that they had in those last 2 matches alone, it just meant that there was going to be a period in time where they were actually able to come online and look to fight back into the deficit that they might have been dealing with. But in this sort of draft, Luminosity, they put it all on the table, risk versus reward. If the Thanatos gets ahead early, we're only going to snowball. That's what Thanatos does. He is one of the few guys, I believe, in the game where once he gets going, there is just no chance of stopping him.
And I mean, BaRRaCCuDDa on the Homiefe as well, continuing. I mean, he was split pushing, right? When SpaceStation made their push, I really like that SpaceStation kind of had a shot to it, and then BaRRa was just on his nonsense and was able to take care of just a Phoenix by himself.
He just got really excited after watching the patch note show today and seeing that new adventure game mode. He was like, it's
PvE.
time to warm up for it.
PvE all day, folks. And whether or not PvE, PvP, who cares? HRX is the three-letter acronym that is on the mind of the guys on Luminosity Gaming here. We've crowned 2 teams that are ready to go to HRX. It's going to be E-United and Luminosity Gaming, both of which will play their finals a little bit later on during the weekend, Europe tomorrow. But are you surprised, E-United, LG, are you surprised that these 2 teams won?
Absolutely not. I think they've proven that they were the top 2 teams in North America today. SpaceStation gave them a run for their money, and I just think it was the most predictable day we've ever seen.
How about you?
I mean, I only got half of my Super Regionals predictions right, but I called the best of 5, and it went all the way to 5, so I'm happy with that one at least.
You know, I'm disgruntled because on the desk I said SpaceStation in 5 and I misspoke. I've been telling everybody here that I said LG in 5. You can ask anybody. I'm not backtracking, but either way, I know in my heart that I chose correctly. So fantastic stuff coming through from these guys, like we said, fighting to find their way into HRX. You can go by visiting hi-rez.expo.com, but if you can't make it all the way to Atlanta, don't worry. You can watch from your own local towns as well. Coke is coming back and helping out some players far and wide. SWC is coming to Coke Theaters, and we'll announce a little bit of those details a little bit later on. That's where you can watch. And if you want to hear, you also can dial up Sennheiser as well. Fantastic products as far as we're concerned, helping out the entire SPL and everybody else in between. So make sure to pick some of that stuff up as well. Like you said, I mean, maybe predictable as far as the results, but I think the games were anything but.
They were incredibly exciting games and great to watch. If you only just tuned in at the very end, I highly recommend going back and watching every single match today.
That VOD is going to reveal a lot of very, not only interesting strats, but just tons of exciting gameplay. You never really knew what was coming next, and I think that's when matches get the most exciting in a competitive level, because you look at a team and they're 10K down. How do they possibly come back into this? And then both teams manage to do it to each other back to back, and that is always just so much fun whenever you get to be a witness to it.
And don't forget, one more time, give a shout out to our sponsor, Sennheiser. You can actually win a headset instead of, just picking up one yourself. Digital Loop Pack 800 gems. Go ahead and get 10% off any Sennheiser with promo code hi-rez. So absolutely fantastic stuff. Like I said before, want to make your way to hi-rez? You can go to hi-rez.expo.com and pick up your own tickets. Save 25% off when you use the code SPL25. You've been there a number of times, Alpha Jackal. How you feel about HRX?
I've never been there before, but I'm excited to book my ticket there tomorrow.
There you go. That's my own version of Savage. Either way, we've got Anatoly standing by with Baskin. That's the middle laner for LG. Congratulations.
Thank you, F. I'm here with Wood Young Kim, the mid laner from Luminosity. How are you feeling? You just took it to 5 games against SpaceStation.
That was way too close for comfort. I mean, we felt really confident coming in, and we had good early game strats, and we had good game plans, but SpaceStation just played so well. That's the best I've ever seen those 5 players play. We usually don't have trouble with them in SPL or scrims, but they just came out and had really good early game strats, and they just played on point the whole LAN. And it was a 5-game set, and I mean, there were some times where I thought we were gonna lose, but we ended up pulling it out.
Well, you definitely didn't think you were going to lose with the Poseidon pick, right? Tell me about that one, because you're the only mid player that actually brought it out today.
I should find that a little surprising because he did get buffed recently, and he was a good pick previously. But yeah, the Poseidon pick was kind of something that we kind of we liked in scrims a little bit, and into their comp, I thought it was fine, but obviously it didn't end up working out well. Yeah, that was just a bad pick by us.
So the whole entire theme between both of you guys in this set was whoever won was destined to lose the next one, but then you guys kept sweeping the loss under the rug. What was your mentality after a loss, and how did you bounce back?
I think our mentality was pretty good. Well, every time we lose, we know what we did wrong. We know the points where we messed up. And when we lost, we weren't like, oh my God, these guys just outplayed us or anything. We were like, all right, right here, we shouldn't have done this. Right here, we shouldn't have done that. And if we correct those mistakes, and we'll win next game. I think that was a way for both teams because obviously they bounced back from losses as well. But yeah, we just kept calm. we're always really confident in ourselves, always really confident in our strats and our picks. So yeah, we didn't really let the losses affect us, really.
So from the outside looking in, it doesn't matter what team you are on, honestly. It seems like you're almost destined to go to Worlds, whether it's on Cloud9, Soar Gaming, or Luminosity. What is it that just drives you to just get to your best peak performance?
I don't know. I just think I have a really fun time playing on LAN, and I think that, well, to be honest, in this 5-game set, I'd probably be like the 4th best player on my team that played the set. Like Aqua, Mask, BaRRa, Jeff, like they all just like popped off. I don't know. I didn't really do much. I kind of like in the 5th game, I was just sitting there farming on midwave, and I see like double kill, and then Mask like, dude, I'm like 20k ahead. I'm like, okay.
How did that feel when Aquarius just gets a double kill to start off the game number 5?
Well, the Thanatos pick is obviously a risky pick. If you get behind, it's like the worst pick in the game. But if you get ahead, it's the best pick in the game. And that was kind of our game plan. We picked a good early game fight in the solo jungle, 2v2, and that was like exactly our plan to get an early lead. And obviously, we got a little bit more of a lead than we expected. But yeah, I was so happy.
Speaking of Aquarius, real quickly though, tell me how he's progressed throughout you guys picking him up after the summer split.
Oh yeah, Aqua is like someone who I thought was just like a mid-tier player when he was on Noble, but when we were doing tryouts for solo laners, like he just absolutely destroyed everyone. And I'm actually like so surprised that he's this good, because before previously I think most people thought he was just like a mid-level player, like a decent player, but he's actually like an insane player. Like I think he's the best solo laner in the world right now. I don't know how he got this good like all of a sudden. I have no idea. Well, it kind of reminds me of someone else who got picked up by Baron Jeff and became good. Oh.
Staying humble as always.
Yeah.
Congratulations, young Woony Kim. Is there any shout-outs you want to give before we let you go?
Shout-outs to my team, Jeff, BaRRa, Aqua, Mass. They played insane and carried me. Shout-outs to my org, Luminosity. They're super sick org. Love them and all that good stuff. Shout-outs to... Yeah, that's it.
Just all the shout-outs in the world from young Woony. Well, Thank you guys out home for watching here today. On the behalf of all the admins, the production, and all the casters, that's it for us today on the North American side of things. But stay tuned tomorrow, same start time, 11 a.m. Eastern time on hi-rez TV for some European semifinals action.